Yep. Good morning, everyone. So yesterday we learned about working with classes, class members in JavaScript. JavaScript class members, we have property, we have an accessor. Yesterday we learned about these two things. So properties for storing the data and accessors to control the properties. What they can control on properties, accessors can control read and write operations, right? So reading, writing on data with the properties we can manage by using accessor. Now we have another in the classes, we have methods. We have a method. Generally, JavaScript method is nothing but it is used for refactoring, just like function. Refactoring means keep all the lines in one unit. It is used for refactoring the code. Already in function, I told you, it is same like function. Only the point is it is similar to a function. So, but mutable. Functions are what? Immutable. This is mutable. So, all functionality is same like function, is same like a function. So, what is the difference between method and function? Functions are immutable, methods are mutable. So, can we have a function in class? We can have a function in class, but function cannot be a class member. That's the point. Next, here how to define method syntactically. So we have a class and class name, and we have a method and just its name. There is nothing else. And if necessary, you can keep parameters. All concepts are same like a function. Generally, functions are declared using function keyword. Here, methods are defined just with name and parenthesis. There is nothing. That means generally in your Java or other languages, you have public, method return type, function return types like that. Here we don't have anything, just name and method. So that means how do we define the methods? So just like you done in your project related to object, what you done, similar concept is here. For example, suppose you see we are having some members. We are having a class product. This product class is having, so one is name. Name is a property in that we store some data. We have price, that is also some price, and quantity, that is empty, 0 I given, and the total is a method. Just method is defined with a name and parenthesis. And what it can do is it can simply work like general functions. That means it can have a return. It can return this dot quantity into this dot price. Same thing I showed you in object also. When we learned about JSON JavaScript object also can have properties and functions. Here we call them as what? Method. And what is another method? Suppose print is a method. What print method have to do? Print all details. That means document dot write name, it should print this dot name, and price it should print this dot price. And the quantity, it should print this dot quantity. And total, it should access this dot total method. It is returning quantity into price. So that is how we return the data. That means how we configure and return the data. You see now, in this, we need to enter the quantity. Then we will create an object for new, which class, product class. Through that, we will access quantity and parse int. We will take from a prompt, enter quantity. And here we will just print the details after entering quantity. To print the details, already there is a method called print. Then we have to access that method here, obj dot what print. It is going to print all the details. So the methods inside the class accessed by using this keyword, outside the class accessed by using an instance, that is object. Now how it runs, same. So all the features of functions, quantity I entered 2, then it will get the result and display. Suppose I entered quantity 4, then it will change the total and display. So it is displaying the details and it is showing the details. 1, then it is same. So we are creating a simple class with some set of properties and methods. So what you have to know here is all method, all function parameters and configurations are same for method. For method also they are same. That means, can we have parameter? Yes. Can we have multiple parameter? Yes. We can have rest parameter, spread, everything same, no change. How you define the function, in the same way we have to configure. That is basic about the method. So here, let's see, I will keep this example. This is example for a method. So class can have a property, can have a accessor, and can have a method. Another important, in class, we have a member called constructor. Another class one. We have limited, because see, generally when you learn Java.NET, method overloadings and all will be there. Here we don't have them. That's the reason we are not discussing anything, because there is nothing out other than what I told you about a method. Generally about methods and all in OOP concepts is a huge thing. But JavaScript just uses the method for encapsulation of code. Right? Just it uses simple hierarchy. So even constructors also limited concept. What is constructor purpose actually? In your programming languages, what is the purpose of a constructor? The main purpose of constructor is instantiation. It is responsible for creating an object for class. Right? So constructor, it is a special type of subroutine. Subroutine used for instantiation. Instantiation is nothing but creating an object. It is a special type of subroutine used for instantiation, that is used for creating an object. So constructor purpose is to create an object for class. Yes, you people, yeah. Any problem is there? No? If you sit idle, na, then this is the problem. Understood? Huh? What other people are doing? Writing. Then they don't have any other issues. Huh? Huh. So, special type of subroutine is, what is subroutine means? It is like a special type of method. So, what is the purpose of constructor? It is used for instantiation. And actually, every class have a default constructor. Every class have a default constructor, so that creates an object for class. Every class have a default constructor that creates an object for class. Then why we have to create or write a constructor in class? If already there is a constructor in class, why we have to write a constructor in class? If already there is a constructor in class, why we have to create a constructor in class? Why we have to write a constructor in class? We can assign in a method also. If you are looking for assigning values, we can assign in a method, ordinary method also. Its basic point is nothing but, at the time of constructing an object for the class, if you want any functionality to default perform, means internally some actions to be performed, then we give that action to constructor, because constructor executes automatically for every object. If any work you have to keep ready immediately after the object is created, then you can give that work to constructor. For example, I will tell a real scenario here. Suppose we are having a database, and here we are having application. In the three objects we have: insert object, update object, delete object. We are having three objects. Now these three objects have to work on this database, but insert object's work is inserting, update object is modifying, delete is deleting. But before they do insert, update, delete, first they have to connect with the database. That means this work should be done before you do these operations. Before you insert or update or delete, first you have to connect. After connecting, then you can do other. If I give this work also, this connect work also, to a method, like connect is a method, if I give that work also to a method, then what happens? Before inserting, you have to call this method. Before updating, you have to call this method. Every time you have to call, right? So then if you give this work to constructor, not ordinary method, if you give this work to constructor, then what happens is, when you create an insert object, it automatically connects internally. If you create an update object, it will automatically connect internally. That means this connection, you don't need to manually execute, it internally performs. It is going to internally execute. because constructor's nature is to run implicitly. For every object, it will run internally. That means you don't need to call it, automatically it is called. That is the speciality of what? Constructor. That means if you want any action to get ready before the object starts its work, then you have to give that action to constructor. Right? That means you see now, let's implement this. And here, very important is, it is little different. Generally in other technologies, constructor name is class name. But in JavaScript constructor is anonymous. Anonymous means it doesn't have name. So it is defined with constructor keyword. It is defined with constructor keyword. That means syntactically we write class and name. In that we just define constructor keyword and whatever the functionality you want. That means constructors are anonymous. They don't have a name. So constructor don't have a name. They execute automatically. Actually, they don't execute automatically. Usually what we do is we just mention let some name is equal to the class name. Am I right? Generally, when you write this class name, beside the class name, you are using an empty parenthesis. Why you are writing class like a method? Why you are writing class like a method? We are not writing class like a method. After the class name, we are invoking the constructor. Am I right? I told you anonymous function. Na? Anonymous function means what? Anonymous function means it doesn't have a name. How anonymous function is accessed? By using a pattern called IIFE. Immediately invoked function expression. That means immediately after class name, you are using a empty parenthesis. That is actually you are calling a constructor. We are calling a constructor. Do you know speciality of JavaScript? Without that also it works. That means you don't give this, it works. It may fail in your Java or other technology, but in JavaScript it works. Because constructor is designed in such a way that it implicitly executes. Implicitly executes. Even you don't give the name parenthesis also, it works. For example, see now. In this example, for the product, I am not using any parenthesis. I am not using any parenthesis. Then you see by default, the constructor is working. And when I run this, it will work. There is no problem in that. Enter quantity, I say 5. It will enter quantity, this is 2. It will show the result. And here, I am not using a parenthesis. I am not using a parenthesis here, right? But it is okay. Then when to use parenthesis? In JavaScript, it is okay. When to use parenthesis? If there is an external constructor and that constructor is expecting some parameters, then you can write. Otherwise, no need to write. It will internally execute. Constructor internally executes. Constructors internally execute. So you don't need to define them. So here, so class name, this is also valid. And we have a name is equal to class name and parenthesis. This is also valid. Also valid. But remember, when the first one is invalid, if constructor is expecting parameters, then the first one is invalid. So second one is correct because in that parenthesis, we will pass the parent. matters because constructor is expecting the parameters. So we need to define the parameters in that way, right? Like this. So I will show you one example here how it executes automatically. Let's write a script and we have a class. So I will let's create a design here. Yeah. Here we are having a field set. So legend. So database connection. Okay, here I am just giving a drop down and here we are having option and select database and we have an option so Oracle, so an option MySQL, so like option MongoDB. Like this we are defining. After that we are having a button, so connect. So we are having options not connect, we have insert and we have button update and we have a button called delete. Now I want these three functionality to happen. We are writing a script. In the script, we are designing a class called database. Okay, so let's continue. Online people, right? Yeah. So here in this option database class, we are creating a class called database. And in this database class, we are defining method insert. It will just put a message document dot write record inserted. We'll put a break. Another we have update document dot write record updated. And we have another delete and document dot write record deleted. Now we want these actions to perform where okay, so here we want the constructor to work here. Constructor have to handle the action. What is that action is constructor have to perform connection. And this constructor have to handle that action internally. Internally it has to happen means then what we have to do here is we will define a functionality document dot write and we say connected and connected to which database that will get from the drop down. Then this constructor is expecting a parameter called db name, database name, and connected to which database, and we have to define that database is what parameter, spread parameter, array parameter, object, anything you can have, primitive or what non-primitive. And now see here, we are writing the methods, a function, insert click. On insert click, we will create an object for, so in a database class. And this is now, if I write like this, it is invalid. Why? Because this time it is having a constructor which is expecting parameter. Parameter is database name. Database name will come from document dot what? Query selector, which one? Select dot value. That is drop down value. Directly we are passing the drop down value into that. And now obj, you just access insert. Similarly, we have insert click. We have update click, and we have delete click, insert, update, and delete click. And all are doing the same. And this time they will not call the same method. Here they will call which one? Update. and here they will call as delete. That means every object is calling only one method, but there is one another method which is internally called for every object. And what is that method? Constructor. So constructor is going to execute for everyone. You see now, I selected database as Oracle and say update. Then it says, so connected. We have to link them now. On these buttons, we have to call them. What it is? On click. On click is what? Insert click. On click. So on click. It is what? Update click. Update click. And here on click. On click is delete click. So delete click. These are the options we are defining. And see now, I selected a database and click on update. It is connected and updated. If I select here MySQL delete, it is connected and deleted. That means the constructor is going to execute automatically for every object. So constructor is a special type of subroutine. We use this for performing the actions implicitly for every object. But important is any work given to constructor, it can execute only once per object. Any method can execute any number of times, but constructor executes only once. Only once. For example, when I give here insert, what we are doing is, here I am calling the insert again. Obj dot what insert 2 times I am calling. When I say 2 times I am calling, I selected something and insert 2 times insert is called. But constructor is only once. For every object, constructor executes only once. So if you want any action to perform at the time of creating an object, then you can give that action to construct. And here nothing else is possible. Like constructor, you cannot overload. You cannot have a private constructor or static constructor. These are all not there in JavaScript. JavaScript just have a constructor and its purpose is this. Nothing else. You don't have private constructors. You don't have a static constructor. You don't have constructor overloading. Can we have multiple constructors in a class? But here we cannot have. So its purpose is very restricted and limited. Its purpose is instantiation and defining actions to perform at the time of instantiation. That is only the work that constructor do in JavaScript, right? So this is the basic of constructor, how we define constructor and use. So what are the other important things you need to know is, so a constructor is executed only once per object. Executed only once per object. JavaScript constructor doesn't support access modifiers, and it doesn't support overloading, etc. It just have a simple purpose. So any action for an object, if you want to perform internally, then you can give that to constructor. That is the concept of constructor. This is an example how the constructor works. I will copy this example. This is just an example for constructor. So we have a property, we have method, we have accessors, and we have construct. These are the members of a JavaScript class, right? So I will give the summary for class members. So what are the class members? Class members, we have a property, we have a accessor, we have a method, and we have a construct, right? So this is the members of class, right? How do we define the class and members? So generally in OOP languages, they are so much complex things. Here, it's not an OOP language, limited features will be there. Later again, if you learn TypeScript is an OOP language. There you have so many other additional features, access modifiers, others are present, interfaces, abstract classes. Those are all not here. We don't have them here. So what else you can have with class is in JavaScript, other thing what it support is code reusability and extensibility. How code reusability and extensibility work? Okay. Okay. Let's continue. Right. So online people, so we have some network issue today. That's the reason we are disconnected. Yeah, let's continue here. So now the next point is code reusability and extensibility. How to achieve that is the primary aim of OOP programming. Generally, code reusability and extensibility we can achieve in two ways. So you can handle code reusability and extensibility by using two techniques here. One is aggregation, another one is inheritance. So you can handle code reusability and extensibility by using two techniques. What is code reusability? Actually, reusability is the process of accessing the members of one class and using in another class. So process accessing members from one class and using in another class. That is the reusability. We have to access the members of one class and use in another class. Without rewriting them, we have to reuse. So extensibility is nothing but extensibility is the process of extending the logic without modifying the existing. So extensibility means it is extending the logic without modifying the existing logic. Without modifying how you can extend and how we can reuse, we will see that. We have two things, aggregation, another one is inheritance. Aggregation means, so aggregation is it is the process of accessing members of one class in another class without configuring any relation between classes. Without configuring any relation between classes, that means we have two classes. The members of one class we want in another class. Then we don't need to rewrite them. We can reuse them. For example, I will tell you one point, like suppose we have a string class. String class have some methods. We have an array class. Array class is also having some methods. There are some methods which are similar in both of them. Am I right? Like length, like index of, last index of, like slice. These are some methods which are available in string as well as in array. And they do the same work. In that case, once you return in string the same you want in array, again you don't need to write them. You can access the members of one class and use in another. But there must not be any relation between string and array. Generally, to access the members of one class in another class, we establish relation between them. Without relation, we should be able to access. That is possible using aggregation. Aggregation is nothing but, so it is known as object object to object communication. So it is often referred as has a relation. We in technical terms we call it has a relation. It is often referred as has a relation. So that is aggregation. Aggregation is, it is the process of accessing the members of one class in another, but without configuring any relation. We have to reuse and we have to extend. I will give one simple example for that. So here, let's design an example for aggregation and inheritance. So I'm creating some HTML page. In this, we are creating a simple field set with a legend, say install HDFC bank app. We given one option. Here we will keep a select and an option will say this is the version 1 HDFC. So version 1, that is version 1, and it is some 2021. Okay, we have another option. So HDFC version 2, and this is 2022. And version 3, like this. And we have 2023. These are 3 versions we are having. And we have an option, select version. And here we have class. This is -1. And class, that means it doesn't belong to any of these 3. That is just traditional reference. You can give any name, right? Because our values will be referred as starting with index 0. -1 means it is not a part of us. So here we have version 1. So not class here, we will put a value. So value as version 1, value as version 1, value as version 2, and value as version 3. Okay. Now we have a button here, install. So now what should happen is here, when user selects any version and install, it should get that version details, means the features in that version. That means now the point is here, we are developing one version, one app, and we are giving to client. He is installing and using it. After few days, we want to add some more into the tab, some more extra features. Then the point is, we are developing another version of the tab and giving to them. The question for you in interview is, why to design a new version? Why can't we modify the existing? Why we have to design a new version? We can modify the existing now. In the new feature. Why we are developing a separate version new without modifying the existing one? To achieve what? You are thinking or waiting for my answer? To achieve what? Question understood? Why to design a new version without modifying the existing version and give it to them? So the main purpose of that is to achieve a concept called to achieve backward compatibility. Any software in the world, they are designing a new version without disturbing the existing version, means their aim is to achieve backward compatibility. Backward compatibility means even the new version is available, user will not use that until or unless he needs those new features. That means the old will be still working. Sometimes we don't want the old to use anymore. We want only the new one. Then we will modify the existing. If you are not modifying the existing, you are providing the new version, means to achieve a concept called backward compatible. For example, I will tell you, we have Windows, current version is 11. You may be still using Windows 10 or 8. If I ask you why you are still using Windows 10 or 8, why don't you update to 11? Then you can again ask me like, why should I update? Then you will tell them that there are some new features in this version. He will say, I don't want them. I don't want them. Then why I need the new version? That means I want them only when I badly want to use those features. Otherwise, I don't need. And remember, to use those new features, I may need more memory. In that case, my PC is old type. It will not able to update to the new features. Then still it should be available to use, but new features are not available. This is called as what? Backward compatibility. Another concept is that to achieve another concept called multi-versioning environment. To achieve multi-versioning environment and to achieve backward compatibility. What is multi-versioning environment means? Two versions of same software can run on same device. Earlier it was not possible. Now recently it is possible. That means two versions of same software can run on a device simultaneously. For example, you are installing MS Office 2010. 2010 version, you installed MS Office on your computer. After that, you want to install 2013. Now, what happens to 2010? Your choice. You can replace the 2010 or you can keep the old version and install the new version. This was not there earlier. Earlier, what used to happen? Old version is removed, new version is added. Now, what is the advantage? Both versions are available. Which one you want, you can use. That is the concept of multi-versioning environment. Multi-versioning environment is very important. For example, you are using Gmail. Suddenly, internet connection slow down. Then Gmail will not stop. Gmail will alert you that you can use our HTML version because your internet connection is slow. What is HTML version? In HTML version, if I have to attach any file, I have to click browse button. I have to select the file. I have to upload the file. Then attachment will happen. If you have high connection speed, they will give you interactive version where you can drag and drop and attach the files. That means drag and drop and attaching the files requires high speed. If you don't have high speed, give an alternative way. That means two versions are present of Gmail. A version which is plain HTML, a version which is highly advanced. People who have high connection speed, they can try advanced. Otherwise, people can use the old. For both of them, functionality will work, but facilities will change. That means keep the old version and give the new version. So to achieve a concept called multi-versioning as well as what? Backward compatibility. That is the reason you might have seen while installing Node.js, you see two versions are there. Latest version, old version. They given a choice. You can select which version you want, which is suitable for your device. You can try it. This is the concept of multi-versioning. But here the point is, see, what we will do is how to handle this functionality. I will show you. We will create a script. We will create a class HDFC. So version 1, that is class. In this version 1, they provided personal. This is nothing but personal banking services. Okay. They provided NRI. So which is some NRI banking services. Banking services. Services. Like this we are giving. Now similarly, we have to print these two details. We have a print method. Document.write. We will print. One is this dot personal. In the next line, we will print. So this dot NRI. We are printing those two details and showing them. Okay. This is the first version. I will create another version. Class. So we have another class HDFC version 2. In this version, they have one more extra feature called suppose loans. We have say personal and housing loans. Like this we define. And after that, we have a print method, which is going to print document.write, which is going to print which details this dot what loans. But important is this second version should have the old features also. Already in old version, what they are having, the same should continue in second. Extra one feature will be there. What is it? Loans. Then how to access the members of version 1 in version 2 without writing them again? We can use two techniques. One is aggregation. Aggregation means without maintaining any relation between classes, what you can do is you can create an object for that HDFC version 1 class. Through that object, you can access print method, which will print the first two details. Is there any relation between classes? No. But the members of one class accessible in another by using an object. This is called aggregation. In OOP languages, we call this mechanism as aggregation, object to object communication, without having any relationship, right? That means now I am doing another one, class HDFC version 3. In this, we are having, suppose, another agree. This is nothing but government, so bank schemes. Like this we define. And here we have a print method, which is going to print only the detail. That is what this dot agree. But what I want here is, that means I will put a BR. Okay. What I want here is, I want to access the version 2 details here. Then we will create an object for which version? HDFC version 2. And through that, we can print, access the version 2. That means now what is happening here? Version 2 details are accessed in version 3 and the version 2 is already accessing version 1. That means 3 is having access to both 1 and 2. But there is no relation between classes. All 3 classes are independent. And we are able to access and extend the classes without maintaining any relation between class. This mechanism is aggregation. Now what we will do is, we will write here a function called install click. On install click, what we are doing here is we are collecting version is equal to document.query selector select dot value. Select dot value is nothing but the drop down value, which version they selected. And we will pass a switch case. We know how to write switch case. Into the switch, we have to pass the value. What is the value? Version. In this first case, what is the case? Case is VR1 colon. What should happen if it is first? So we have to create obj1 is equal to for HDFC bank version. So we have to create an object 1 for which class? HDFC version 1 class, and through that we have to print that, and we will put a break. That means if they selected first version, only first version details are printed. And before printing, just I will put one more message. Document.write heading to version 1 installed. This message we will give. Okay. Similarly, we have to write two other cases. What is the next case? If it is version 2, we have to create an object 2 for which version? Second object. And here I will give version 2 installed, version 2 print. Similarly, another object, version 3. And here version 3, what we have to do? So we have to create an object for version 3 and installed version 3 and obj3.print. Am I right? This is the 3 versions. If they don't select any version, then what we will give? Default. Document.write. We will say, please select a version. This is the message we are giving, and break. And this function should fire up when user clicks on install. That means on click, we have to create install click. Now what user can do is, user can select which version he wants and click on install. It will get the features of that version. It is having personal banking, NRI, and personal and house loans. Suppose I am selecting third version, will get all this. That means I also added government bank schemes, and it's only first version, only the two details. That means you are providing all, you are what he wants. That's what backward compatibility. Here, what is the main concept? How to reuse the code of one class in another class. Another point is how to extend it without disturbing the existing. And we used a mechanism called what? Aggregation. Aggregation is what? Object to object communication. There is another technique. Same one. I will click on install without selecting. Then it will say, please select version. So you select a version, it will get the details. You select second version, it will get 3 details. You select the 4th version, it is getting those details. Same thing you can achieve without aggregation. This is example for aggregation. Let me copy this. This is the example for aggregation. And here, same thing we can achieve. I will show you what is the syntax here. So we have simply class A, and here members, and we have class B, and here what we do is we have to create instance of class A to access its members. That's what we have to do. You have to create an instance to access its members. right? So that is the concept of aggregation. Now the same thing we will achieve without aggregation. Without aggregation, actually how you are defining. Without aggregation, how you can manage this is by using inheritance. By using inheritance. By using inheritance, you can achieve the same concept without the concept of aggregation. What is inheritance is? Inheritance is nothing but it is the process, it is the access of class in another class, giving configuring relation between class by configuring relation between classes. How to configure relation? Actually, you can use that extends the existing class. You can use extends keyword that extends the existing class. So how it happens is here the existing class is known as superclass. We call superclass, or people also call as base. And the new class is known as derived class, and the new class is known as derived class. So a derived class can extend the superclass. It can extend the superclass. So syntactically, we write like this. We have class A and we have class B. This extends A. That's very simple. Now, what is the speciality here is, if you use the word extends and extends a class, the members of that class are directly accessible here. That means the members of class A are accessible directly in class B. That means you can access the members of superclass using super keyword. We can use a super keyword. By using super keyword, we can do that. So in this scenario, actually, A is super and B is derived. A is super class and B is derived class. And remember, this is referred as referred as is a relation. We have has a relation and is a relation. Has a relation and is a relation. So that is the basic of configuring relation. So let's see the same example without aggregation, how it becomes easy. But what is problem here? The problem is you are configuring relation between class. Then what happens is, if you are using same type of members in a derived class, these members suppress the base class. That means now the issue is, if you have same name members, then the derived members will suppress the super members. That will not happen if you are using aggregation. In inheritance, it will happen. That means if anybody asks if I have same name members, what will happen? What will happen? Only derived will work. Only derived will work. Because in your Java and all, we have data hiding, abstractions and all. Here we don't have them. We don't have them. So that is the reason you may be thinking like, if we don't have what to do is use an advanced language which is used with all features of OOPS like TypeScript. But in JavaScript, these are the limitations, right? And see now how we achieve the functionality. It's very simple. Let's delete these objects that we created. So in version 2, we created object for version 1. I am removing it. In version 3, we created object for version 2. We deleted it. Now you see here, if I select version 2, only version 2 features will come. Version 1 features are not coming. If I install version 3, version features are coming. All coming. Now we have to. So this version extends HDS. Is version 3 is extending. Which one? Version 2. Then print, we have to super. This is print. Now who is the super for this class? Version 2. Version 2 is the super of this version 3. And who is the super of version 2? That is version 1. This mechanism is called multi-level inheritance. Multi-level inheritance means a derived class is again derived. If there is only one derived class, single inheritance. If there are multi-level, then we call multi-level inheritance. Here, there is no question of multiple and hierarchy others because it doesn't support them. So here we have only two straightforward inheritance mechanisms. One is single inheritance or multi-level. One class super, one class derived, that is single inheritance. The derived class is again derived, then that is multi-level inheritance. That's only the point we are having. So now see here, the same functionality, this time using inheritance. Second version, all those will come. I selected the third version and all these are coming. And the first version and all these are coming. So the same concept is working, but this time configuring relation between class. What is the drawback of this? What is advantage is all classes are in relation. It is easy to extend. Drawback of this is if same name members are coming, then the super class members are suppressed by derived class members. We cannot access them directly. There will be issues. This is the problem with that's why we say it is not a pure OOP language or it doesn't support all OOP features. Only certain concepts are available, right? This is the same concept of inheritance. So inheritance example is this. This is the inheritance code reusability and extensibility in JavaScript. We can reuse the code. We can extend the code by using the concept of what? Aggregation. Aggregation or what? Inheritance. Here you don't have abstract classes, sealed classes. Here you don't have private public access modifiers. Here you don't have interfaces. No. Only simple basic things we are having. But one more option also supported here. That is also a limited one. That is what it supports the concept of polymorphism. JavaScript supports the basic polymorphism. Because actually in polymorphism, there is dynamic polymorphism. which you will learn in your Java. Here, only basic polymorphism is supported. What is polymorphism? So, why it is required technically, how we define? Let's see one point. One basic I will give here. Means general and technical point here. Suppose we are having some device I will give here. Yeah. We are having a device like a pager. We are having a device like digital organizer. We are having a device like camera, and we have phone. We have these devices. Actually, pager is a device used for sending SMS. Digital organizer is a device used for storing contacts, so appointments. It provides calendar. Before calling, these were there. We can send only SMS to anybody. We can send an SMS using these pages. We have digital organizer. Digital organizer, usually it looks like this. This is digital organizer. These digital organizers we call pocket diaries earlier. So people used to use very much these in the beginning days. Means they can put their contacts, phone numbers, address, notes, calculator, calendar, everything comes inside this. Small pocket digital diaries. People call them as a digital organizer. And we have camera and we have phone. Now what happens is, what happened here is we have a device. And this device name is mobile. And this mobile device can work as a pager. It can work as an organizer. It can work as a camera. It can work as a phone. That means earlier we have to carry one organizer, one pager, one camera. Now we are carrying just only one mobile, which can do the work of all these things. That means this mobile is exhibiting polymorphism. Poly means many and morphos means forms. That means the ability of a component to work for different situations. It reduces the number of components we have to use. It reduces the number of components we have to use. That means instead of using different components, we can use only one component which can do everything. Right? For example, suppose we are sending satellites. One satellite is sent for communication. Another satellite is sent for watching the moon. Another is sent for watching the sun. But there is one satellite sent which can do all these three things. Then we can reduce that. Right? That means instead of doing three different with three people, we can handle with all with one. That is the concept of polymorphism. That means in software programming, instead of designing so many components, you can design one component which can work for different situations. That means polymorphism. I will show you. So see the solution here. Suppose what is this polymorphism is? Suppose I will add a new file here. Yeah. Just the concept here. Okay, we are creating a class. We are creating here a class called employee. Employee is having first name, last name, and designation. These are the properties for every employee, and there is a print method which will print those details. Document.write, it will print first name, it will print last name, and it will print the designation. This dot designation. That means it is going to print these details. Okay. This is an employee. Now, in an office, there are so many types of employees. For all employees, basic features are same. Every employee have a first name, last name, and a designation. But additionally, every employee may have different roles and responsibility. Basic details are same, but additionally, some more details may come according to his designation, right? So we are creating a class developer, and this developer extends employee. That means all employee features he can use. That means first name I will put as Raj, some last name, and I will put as Kumar something, and designation I will keep as developer. And in addition to this, one more is their role. This is not there in the base. It is additionally added. And role is developer role. Developer role is like build, so debug like this. Debug, test, deploy like this we are having. Now we have a print method. This print method have to print super.print, means all the basic details. And in addition to that, it should print document.write. It should print this dot role. That means all the basic details are printed by this print method. It will print first name, last name, and designation. Extra role is printed by this. Now, similarly, I have another employee. I will copy another class. This is admin. And this is admin. Admin is the class. He is also employee. Admin name is some different. So we give a different name. Okay. And here his admin is the role, and we give an admin role. Admin role is some authorizations, authentication like this. And authentication like this we are having. And print the details of admin. One more class is there. This is a manager. So we have 3 employees, and this is some Tom, this is some Hanks like this. And here we have what manager, and here we have a manager role. And manager role is something like approvals. So how many employees are there? 3. Developer, admin, and manager. I need to handle these 3 employees, then I need 3 objects. Now your question, your task is, you should create only one object which can work for all 3. And in that case, for which class you will create an object? I need only one object which can manage all 3 classes. You create for employee, only employee will come. You create for developer, only developer will come. You create admin, is admin extending developer? Admin is not extending developer, then how developer will come? Admin only will come. Am I right? Now, for which class you have to create an object? And if you know answer for this, that means you know polymorphism. Because that is what polymorphism is. How you create one object which can work for all these three classes. There is no relation between all these three employees. Only is all three employees are using a blueprint called employee. They are not related to each other. If they are all related to each other, you can create an object for last, right? But not. Then how to handle this? Simple. We are creating employees. Employees is an object. It is an array type. In that, first memory we will pass for developer. Second memory we will pass for admin. Third memory we will pass for manager. Now how many objects are there? Only one object. But at 0 it is working for developer. At 1 it is working for admin. At 2 it is working for manager. And at 2 only for manager. It will not disturb others. That means only one object is working for all three. So this object is exhibiting polymorphism. That means you create one object which can work for all three. That's it. You see now I am writing here var designation and is equal to designation is equal to, I will say prompt, I will ask enter designation. Enter designation. And after that, we will use a for var employee of employees, because it is array na. How to read every memory from array? By using map or by using for of we can read. That means now first time this employee will be admin or manager or developer depending on requirement. That means now we write a condition. If employee dot designation is matching with what the designation you entered in prompt, then that employee related details must print. That means we are calling the print method of that particular employee. That means only one object will work for all classes now. And a single object can work for many instances of classes. A single instance can work for several classes. So these are all software design patterns actually. Now run this and see. When you run this here, it will ask designation. I will enter manager. Only manager details will come. And it is asking designation. So developer, only developer details will come. We are asking for admin. Only admin details will come. To handle three different classes, you need three different objects. But when you can create one object which can work for all three, that means you achieved the concept of polymorphism. Polymorphism is not method overloading, function overloading. Generally, people think that, right? Polymorphism is overloading memory. Any memory overloaded with different members, then it is called as what? Polymorphism. That means any memory, a function memory can overload, a method memory can overload, or a class memory can overload, constructor memory can overload. That means if it is overloaded with different functionalities and only one person is able to handle all of them, then it is polymorphism. That means you can create only one object which can work for all different types of situations instead of creating different objects. This is the concept of polymorphism. So this is an example of polymorphism, how the polymorphism works. So I will give a simple example here. Definition, I will give a simple point here. So poly means many, and morphos means forms. It's a Greek term, forms. So a single the ability of a single component to work for various situations is referred as polymorphism. Polymorphism. So that means a single base class object can use the memory of multiple derived classes. Derived classes. That is the concept of polymorphism. A single base class object can use the memory of multiple derived classes. The ability of single component to work for various situations is referred as polymorphism. A single base class object can work for different situations. Spelling here, poly. Everywhere poly spelling wrong. Huh? Right. This is an example for that. Huh? Right. This is the example of polymorphism. This is what it supports. I already told you, you don't have any method overloading, function overloading like concepts here. But these are inheritance and polymorphism. Now we have another concept, events and objects, that we will see in next session. Tomorrow we'll do that. Okay. Right.